Rad Faith 48, Episode 21, An Active October 1998. Hello, social media mites and mavens. James Homan here. October of 98 was a very busy month. Another set of MRIs, as well as all operative reports, as well as radiology and pathology reports with slides, were disseminated to brain tumor specialists throughout the country. The initial operation had been a success. However, it left masses of dead tissue or necrotic tissue that needed to be removed immediately. We got a second opinion at New York Medical Center with Dr. Michael Gruber, which was even further away from our home and not at all an easy access via cabs. However, Harold, plus his mother and sister and I, all felt his decision to go with Gruber's test protocol using thalidomide and carboplatinum was the best decision to make at the time. We did not, however, relinquish our contacts at Mount Sinai, through whom home health care assistance was arranged. In addition to the visiting nurses, we hired a nursing aide, Anna, on a part-time basis, who turned out to be an incredible treasure. She greeted Harold every morning, assisting him into and out of the shower, changing his clothes, making the hospital bed, etc. Anna had done this for other patients and worked really well with all the other medical professionals who visited weekly. She and Harold developed a wonderful working relationship. He enjoyed getting to use his high school Spanish. Halloween was the highlight of the month, as it had been over many previous years. Instead of trekking down to the village's festivities, dear friends came to our house. The costumes were very creative, and Harold made a considerable effort to remain involved, although his medical treatments were more than a little enervating. The plan to the point it had been instituted, worked well for the first few months. October of 98 was an eventful month. The most recent set of MRIs had been taken at NYU Medical Center on October 8th and was compared with the last set taken on July 14th at Mount Sinai, the day immediately following the debulking of Harold's brain tumor. Dr. Gruber was pleased to announce that, in his opinion, there had been no detectable growth to the tumor in almost 3 months. Upon receiving that news, all 5 sets of MRIs, plus 3 radiology reports, 2 operative reports, 2 pathology reports, and 2 sets of pathology slides were taken immediately and sent to Dr. Lisa DeAngelis, chief neuro-oncologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering. She presented them to the brain tumor board there for analysis on Wednesday, October 21st. The brain tumor board's diagnosis was substantial, showing that there was indeed detectable growth to Harold's tumor over that same period of time. She recommended a randomized trial of SU-101 versus procarbazine, a test protocol being conducted only at Sloan Kettering. This was diametrically opposed to Dr. Gruber's findings and came as an initial surprise until we realized that these diagnoses were not without a certain element of subjectivity on the part of 2 different medical centers. 2 weeks later, we received a third opinion from Dr. Foster, the neurologist at Mount Sinai. He had wanted to review the films with Dr. Post, Harold's chief neurosurgeon. Dr. Forster's initial reaction to the comparison of MRIs from July and October was that not only had tumor growth been contained, but he also believed there may well have been a shrinkage of the tumor mass. While actual dimensional comparison was not possible without a particular instrument, a cytostat or something, it was his impression that shrinkage had occurred. A different analysis, yet again. Who to believe? Harold decided to go with 2 out of 3 opinions, and we all appreciated being back in the positive column of the page. Thank you very much. Harold's third injection of carboplatinum was administered on Monday, October 26th, and was reduced to only 900 cc's, 1/3 less than the previous 2 injections. As with all chemical therapies, it severely impacts bone marrow production of red and white blood cells and platelets, causing blood counts to drop to extremely low levels. This explained Harold's lack of energy. This last time, however, his counts didn't drop into dangerously low levels, but rather bounced back up in the right direction in the 3rd and 4th weeks. We were fully expecting necessary transfusions, and we were pleased when they weren't ordered. While his white blood cells remained low, all other counts were within normal range, and he was feeling much better. Harold began eating foods that contained significant iron content, spinach and apricots, as well as red meats, foods he'd shied away from for the past several years. He had a few incidents at home, always when he was attempting heroic feats while unattended. His falls hadn't resulted in any major injuries, but his ribs have been bruised, and now his ankle has been seriously strained. He'd been walking with only a cane, but he then went back to his walker that allowed him considerably more support and security. Harold's spirits were understandably a bit low at times. Socializing became a little scary for him at this point, but everyone commented on how strong he sounded on the phone. We had been told by other couples who had gone through this protocol that these initial months were the worst, after which the routine would become a lot easier on everyone. We began the process of applying for Medicaid through the assistance of Mount Sinai Home Health Care, since Harold's Oxford insurance had determined that his service allotment had been met for this calendar year. They basically required that he be presented as indigent with an income of less than $584 per month. While his monthly revenue was greater than that, his or our considerable monthly out-of-pocket expenses could be deducted, lowering his assets to or below the required level. We hired Anna Gomez as our home health attendant. She had established a caring and compassionate relationship with Harold on a part-time basis over the last 2 weeks. Now she would attend him at home from 9 a.m. until 1:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, with the possibility of additional hours in the future or when needed. While this became an additional expense for us, Medicaid eventually covered it. Friends and family continued to help out from 1 to 4 p.m. until I could get home from work. Halloween was not to be overlooked this year, thanks to Alan, Cynthia, Alan, Gina's husband, Alan, Peter, Jimmy, Louis, and Gina. Since we couldn't get to the parade in the village, the party came to our home. My good white fairy costume was both quite elegant and fairly outlandish. Initially, the costume was to have been a foundation garment of Anastasia Romanoff with scattered bullet holes, but morphed into something more akin to a Las Vegas showgirl. photos will have to be edited. Harold opted not to wear any costume, although I wanted him to don his black leather jacket and a helmet as he sat in his wheelchair. This wheelchair, his Harley, had worked out well and even guaranteed $15 handicap seat tickets at most Broadway theaters. Cabin fever began to set in, although we tried to get out every weekend to do errands or go to the movies or a museum, a concert, the theater. We remained determined to maintain as much quality to our lives as possible. Dr. Gruber scheduled Harold's fourth injection of carboplatinum for Monday, November 30th at 10 a.m. That would be his last injection because the doctor felt this chemo is hitting him too hard and would not continue with all 6 injections as originally planned. However, Harold would continue to take thalidomide capsules, 12 every night. According to Dr. Gruber, Harold would find himself stronger and more secure in the new year. We very much appreciated that optimism. And that concludes this podcast. Please check in next week for episode 22. Ye Old Year Ends, the December holidays. As always, thank you for your time and interest. Until next week, then, be kind, do good, be happy, and love one another, remembering to coexist with tolerance while embracing similarities and respecting differences. Thank you.